I am sure that many of you have heard the news that Heather Nauert has withdrawn voluntarily her name for consideration for the UN ambassador position. The Florida Maquis began speaking about her early last year when her position at the State Department went from spokesperson, which would have been appropriate, to Undersecretary for Public Policy and Public Affairs, which is a huge difference. She was the number 4 person at the State Department. I don't know Miss Nauert personally, but based on her resume, that seemed like a bit of a stretch. So we kept an eye on her, and during different videos I had tied it to perhaps our current leader having more of an attachment to the Fox News babes than what you would normally expect. Well, over at Patreon, I made a video some months ago, I think it was around the 8th of December, that made the allegation that there was a health issue going on with Miss Nauert. And I would like to play that clip for you now and show you the difference that we noticed over at the psychological operations training side. Now I want you to look at this picture. I'm going to zoom in real close. Well, close-ish. Okay, this is a picture of Heather Nauert a year ago. First State Department briefing. Okay, this was, and I made sure I played this to make sure it was the very first one. Now, take note of all of her facial features and skin tone and everything. Now, this is a year later. You ready for this? This honestly look like sisters, but they don't look like the same girl. There is something very, very different about these two women. Well, it's one woman. I mean, I'm not making the allegation that there's been any body snatchers or anything like that going on. I'll bet you anything that this move, her going back to the UN, going back to New York from Washington, is a health issue. And I'm gonna make a leap here. I'm probably gonna be wrong about this. I wonder if she's pregnant. Because of course her job in Fox, that's where at Fox News, that's in New York. Working her job as Undersecretary of State would bring her to Washington D.C. It's not really that far as geographic. But to see the difference 1 year has made to go from New York to D.C. New York, D.C. Now, the reason I say it, now here, of course, I shouldn't say it that way. Here, she's in D.C., but she just got here. She hadn't been in D.C. for 5 minutes, basically, at this point. This is the Heather Nauert that everyone recognized from the news. Something is going on with this girl. She's not well. She doesn't look well. If you watch this video, especially this one, this is the second one from, let's see, this is published 27 November of this year, and this one is from 6 June 2017. So this is, wow, this is like a year and a half. If I've done this, yes. So this is 18 months difference. Look what 18 months has done to Heather Nauert in D.C. versus being in New York. I couldn't believe this when I was watching it, and I was flipping back and forth. I was going to do a completely different angle on the video when I started to notice this. It's not a real big of a weight. I don't think it's a weight issue. There's just something different. She looks gaunt. Her hair is different. Her eyes are different. I have a bad shot here. Her eyes are kind of closed, but there's something going on. Either she's ill, the time in D.C. has caused some kind of a problem. I am very much wondering what the issue is, and if it's truly a health issue, pray for her. Obviously, I mean, I don't agree with the administration she works for, but I don't know the woman personally. I don't have anything against her personally, but something is weird. So, anyway, I'll let you guys chew on that. So, okay, so that is a video. I'm going to go ahead and make it public. It's unlisted now. It was a Patreon only video from 8 December of last year. So now we see her withdrawing. And in her statement, she said that the time there had been grueling on her family. And it's very strange that we even see this with presidents. We see them age incredibly fast during their time in Washington, D.C. Now, this is a picture of her when she was, I think, very early in her career at Fox. Right now, her birthday is 27 January 1970. I looked it up on Wikipedia. So she's older than I am. So she's 49 years old. Now here, I very much doubt, she's not 49 in this picture, but I think she looks, in both pictures, at the other side. I mean, for 49 years old, she's doing pretty good, but I don't think her time in D.C. has served her well, or her health well, or, by her own admission, her family well. And I'm not, and let me be very, very clear about this. Don't know her personally. I'll say it again. I have nothing against her personally. The network she worked for, not a giant fan of. Not a giant fan of CNN either, just to be fair. But this is something we may need to and watch only to the extent that we don't invade this person's privacy. Because if she leaves the public eye, if she's no longer part of the Trump administration anyway, I have no interest in covering anything going on with her in some type of a tabloid paparazzi type manner. Not going to do it. Not even going to address it at all. Because that's, people make decisions in their life, and sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. I have related before. When I was 19, 20 years old, I joined the Army. I became an Army interrogator. I went through all of the training. And, many people have come and said, oh, you were a killer and all this kind of stuff. When you're 18 and 19 and 20 years old, you make decisions and sometimes you make mistakes. I don't regret serving my country. There was no malice in my heart. I didn't sign up thinking, oh boy, now I can go be part of the deep state and now I can go kill innocent people and all this kind of stuff. Nobody signs up for the military thinking that. You don't. And so maybe take a breath before you make comments assailing our soldiers, sailors, airmen, marine, and guardsmen. Because, and I say this looking at my analytics, much older. My audience is at least my age or older. Late 40s, 50s, 60s. We have the benefit of experience. We have the benefit of having lived through Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, another Bush, Obama, and now this. And we have that 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, they're making the decisions to do things using a completely different calculus. They don't have the ability to comprehend the things that we do at our age. So maybe forgiveness is in order. But I just wanted to cover this just to get it out of the way, that she's no longer going to be in the running for the State Department. I still think there's something going on with her health. I wouldn't want the job, given with what's coming down the road in Venezuela, to have to answer for those decisions, and the fact that we've seen a 44-year veteran of the Marine Corps, a man that all the way up until the time that he resigned, the people supporting Trump thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, but the minute he leaves the presence of his almightiness in Washington, D.C., all of a sudden now he's vilified and some kind of an enemy. So it's very hard, and we've seen that same dynamic over and over and over again. People that were close to the president. In fact, one of the big things was, Trump is so great because he has all these 4 generals around, and he wants to use the military to attack the deep state. Well, all of the generals have jetted and left, and it's, I'm not going to go down that road too far. But the point being, pray for this woman anyway. Because if she's at that point in her life where the decision was something where she has a health issue, she's worthy of that. And if it's something where she's had some kind of a quote-unquote come to Jesus moment about the administration and her future with it, then she probably is looking at a very different career going forward. And pray for her then as well, because the Bible teaches us to pray for our enemies. So we will leave it there. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.